Hi everyone, hoping you can hear me well. This is Jen, owner of Circle of Besties Tarot, and I'm here after quite a hiatus. For those who have been following me for a bit, you know I tend to move around a lot, so just settling in after another move in the past couple years. So thought I'd hop on today while I had a couple of free hours and do some free readings. So if you're new, welcome. Um, I will try to get a video cadence out there. Previously, we had done Tarot Tuesdays. Every now and then, we'd push it to a Wednesday or a Thursday, and all communications go out through my Facebook group, which is called Circle of Besties Metaphysical Online Shop. And then I also, if you're local to the New England area, I also work here and there in the area, but mainly from a little shop on Main Street in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. So I'll do live readings there as well as um, do some events. Um, oh, hello, Jason. Just trying to keep up with the YouTube chat as well. But so let's get to it. I'm shuffling. You can probably see me shuffling. I have a new deck. It's called the Tarot of Hearts. By Isabel Hayes. So I'm getting to know this one, so I thought I'd start off with this one. I do have a couple of other decks, tarot decks, to do clarifications with. Why don't we get going? I'll just do, if any of you come on and you have a question or something that you'd like me to do, like to focus on specifically, that's fine. Go ahead and put it in the chat. If you can give me your astrology sign, if you're asking about another person, their astrology sign, and then your question, I'll pull a card for you. Until then, I'll just do general readings and speak to the cards that come out. Okay, so our first card today is, just gotta use this camera, a Page of Cups. So what do we know about the tarot? The tarot is, if you were to compare it to a deck of playing cards, we have the suits and the royals. Each of the suits in the tarot um, are, they signify a difference, an element. So cups is water. And whenever you have, a card that is based in the suit of water or cups, it's about emotions, feelings, uh, you know, matters of the heart, relationships. So when you have a page of cups, now a page is part of the royals. So you have a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. So within those four, the page is the most junior. So we can say that anytime a royal does appear in tarot, it could be someone that you might know. It could be referring to you. So if you are newly in a relationship, or newly learning to navigate the emotions of something, it could be just part of growing up. It could be say it's you get your first apartment outside of your parents' house. You're going to college. You're living away for the first time. That's immediately what pops into my head. So it could be that you're a college student and it's your first time living away from your family. And so, you're learning how to process the emotions that come with that. So it could be homesickness, it could be excitement, it could be, like, hallelujah, I'm free. But a Page of Cups, like I said, it could be you, it could be someone else. So say it, maybe you have moved in with someone for the first time. You're in a relationship that's blossoming, and if we're to continue with the theme of maybe moving out, or being living on your own for the first time, it could be moving in with a love interest. Um, but again, like the emphasis on the page, which is sort of like a naive, let's grow and figure this out together type of energy. Put that down here. So what could be a challenge to this? Oof, this flew right out. Okay, Six of Swords. Okay, so what we could be talking about here. So if I were, I'm going to be using so I have the background. My placemat here is an actual layout of what would be a Celtic cross. So this is present the self, and then the problem is a Six of Swords. Oh, let me see if I can't move the angle of the camera so you can see what I'm talking about here. Um, no, not right now, but okay. So um, the layout that I'm following. So this is the present of the self. So again, new adventures, new of the heart. Someone who's, it's a new experience, new emotions, it's new processing. And then if the problem or the challenge is the Six of Swords is, you're moving from, rocky shores over to calmer ones. So this might be, like the environment that you find yourself in is now peaceful, calm, and completely different than the one that you would uh, maybe traveled from, or just different in a way that creates, a lot of um, like a need to process. So swords, so like cups, um, being representing water, the suit of swords represents air. So air is very fast energy. It's like thoughts, communications. It could be, also like a more modern interpretation of swords or air element can be the internet technology. But so, maybe the environment that you're in is, much different as far as like how you, like how you process your environment. Maybe the things that you need to do day to day are different than where you've come from. So whereas if, before things were sort of done for you, or um, maybe they were chaotic and you had to do everything. Moving to the Six of Swords being represented as a problem is just like a complete shift in the way things are done. So, having to sort of tackle that and figure out how it works for you. Um, okay. So I'm just going to get a little bit more detail around this situation. So I'm going to pull a card that's representative of, you know, um, gives me a little bit more detail. Like it might be past energy that's not necessarily still. Okay, so Queen of Cups. So, what's popping into my head intuitively about this scenario here is, like maybe like a kid going off to college, kind of being under their parents' wing, having a lot of rules and boundaries set for them. Things always, happening in a certain pattern. This could feel fantastic, or it could have been tumultuous and felt a little overbearing. But now, the scenario is that, you're in a different environment, um, and making your own rules, uh, and without that constant supervision, and that's constant handholding. So, the supporting energy is temperance. So this is a major arcana. It doesn't fit necessarily into any specific suit. What it is a big overarching energy. I'll bring it up to the camera. A big overarching energy. Um, and at times it does represent that your spirit guides and your guardian angels, they're watching over you and they're helping you make these new steps. So, like lean into your instincts and your conscious nudges that you receive. Follow your gut, and keep things balanced. There's different depictions of this tarot card with different types of art, but always like angelic universal protection. The ebbs and flows of life. Keep one foot on the ground, grounded in earth, and keep one in water to balance your emotions. Don't um, don't lean to any one emotion too heavily. Just sort of like take a deep breath and zoom on up to like a 30,000 view of the scenario and say, okay, looking down at, what's going on? What are all the moving parts? Where did I come from? Where am I now? Where do I want to go? How do I get there? It's just basic what do we call it? Compartmentalization, is that a word? But just figuring out, uh, a strategy on how to achieve your goals. Isn't that, using, let's, if any of you are into the, like the law of abundance or manifesting, you're never going to be able to manifest anything unless you're sure what you want. So you have to say it out loud, and you have to really, you can't just say, I want to be rich. You have to almost like think through, like, how can, like, you have to act as if you already are rich. But in a lot of ways, you have to figure out, what does that mean to me? Do you want to be rich with health, like with your family life? Do you want, do you not want to be rich with love? There's so many different details. So unless you truly understand, what like a bigger, so with the major arcana card, this is a bigger statement. It's a bigger thing to ask for. So if you're asking for balance, if you're asking for, like I said, wealth or health, or um, you want to be rich, you have to define that to yourself first before the universe will ever know what to send you. So energy matches energy. So if you're living in the energy of, the life that you want to have, they say, dress for the job you want. So, if you start to really see yourself in the role that you want, in the life that you want, with the resources that you want, even if you don't have them yet, just keep pushing forward and keeping that mindset focused. It'll come. Well, like I said, if anybody's watching and they want me to pull a card for them, go ahead and put it in the chat. You can subscribe. You don't have to, it's free. Everything's free. Not monetized. I'm doing this as an outlet for myself, and also to, build up community, and to teach people about tarot, and if you're interested in anything divination, um, it's a fun place to come in and chit chat and learn more about tarot. And sometimes I have different. I'll use a pendulum. Sometimes I have an EMF reader. So sometimes we do a little bit of mediumship. I'll take a um, if I get the nudge, I have a pen and paper, and I'll do a little automatic writing for you. Oops, I just got the nudge. Did you see that go? My spirit guides are like, let's see that. So the key is to not have your EMF reader near any of your technology, because that it will be set off by your phone or your computer or even my microphone here. So that was very cool. I'm glad we got that on camera. But yeah, if I normally get what's called, just chills. When you get a chill, or sort of like a tingle. I'll get them in different places, and it's cue to me to grab the pen and paper. But so what I'll do is I'll just doodle and then write down whatever word comes into my head. So person, truck. So I am Gen X, so I do write in cursive, and a lot of people who are much younger than me don't. They don't. It just looks like scratch to them. But so person in a truck. If you're listening, go ahead and ask your question. I wish there was a way that we could talk outside the chat, but yeah, you just have to go into your YouTube settings, find the chat, or maybe even look for the word comment, and then you should find your way here. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with the reading that I'm doing. So we have, stay balanced. Things are going to feel very different. Ultimately, they will, uh, balance out and feel like you'll be able to create your environment that feels the most psychologically and physically safe for yourself. So not to worry. Um, I'm getting the sense that with the Four of Cups, this is sort of like my, I'm not loving it. I'm bored. It's not for me type of card. So hang in there, because some change doesn't happen overnight, and also, um, you're not gonna. I think we're in a, like our society is very like, it's like immediate gratification, right? We want everything to feel perfect immediately, in the very minute that you decide that you want something. So that's just not how it works. Unfortunately, like energetically, like for you to feel safe, like I said, psychologically and physically safe, outside of the bounds of what you've known growing up your whole life, um, it's not going to fit right away. But the good news is that if you take control over your intentions and like, your strategy on how you want to feel, um, and that's just a lot of self reflection, um, it will change for you, and you'll be like, dang, I feel really happy, this is exactly the way I wanted to feel. And it's because you were intentional with what you knew you how you wanted to feel, and you put it in the universe, and the universe brought it to you. It just takes time. So the Four of Cups is just a reminder to, hang in there, because it will happen. It's just not going to be immediate. um all right, and then, okay, we have the Star. So this is our future card. So again, it's another nod to a leg on land and a leg in the water. Keep things balanced. Use your gut instincts. It's anything you wish for, you can make happen. This could even be a nod to like celebrity. So, you know, I don't know if I have to cover this lady's nudity. I'll get kicked off YouTube. um, but it there's a nod to, like really staying connected to the universe. Like if you're intuitive or empathic, really understand your energy and how to protect it, but also how to use it for your, to work in your favor. Um, a lot of times, people can get very excited about new things, but then they'll crash. It's almost like a sugar rush, right? So think about it. Like you have a bunch of sugar, you get super hyper, and you're excited, and you're high energy, and then you have that crash. It's the same thing with like your personal energy. You can get so excited about something, and it's new and it's fantastic, and the idea of like what comes next is so exciting. And then, it takes a while, and then you lose interest and you're bored and you're just chasing that next thing, that can be like immediate and be gratifying in the moment. So it's just, I think this reading is just asking you to, like, if you truly want to get to a point where you're living in your in what's meant for you, you have to learn to balance your energy, to take it down a notch, to strategize, and to like live in, and then really strategize, how do I want my life to go? How do I want to feel? Where do I want to be? Where am I happiest? Sometimes it's just taking stock of truly what makes you happy, and then figuring out, okay, how do I incorporate, the people that bring me joy, or the environment that brings me joy, or the thing that brings me joy. How do I create a plan that, even if it's like, you know people say, oh, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do this because I want to wake up, be my own boss, and do the things I love. Well, sometimes that doesn't, I mean, it works for some, but it doesn't always work for everyone. So say you have a 9 to 5, but then, um, you know, uh, on the weekends, you have a YouTube channel and you read tarot for strangers. I mean, that's what I'm doing, and it brings me joy. So, think in that way, where it doesn't have to fit within a certain box, but you do have to know how you want to feel, and like eventually, like, what would bring the most happiness. So, um, yeah, just trust your instincts, do a lot of self-reflection. I journal. If you want to try automatic writing, get a pen and paper and like clear your mind, and just write anything that comes into your mind. And sometimes, if you have like a little bit of a meditation playing in the background, like really do some, just like, so do some box breathing while you're sitting there with your pen, and then see what happens. Because sometimes your intuition, might give you some clues as to where to start. And then, that's how I got started with divination tools. That, and my aunt was a psychic, so growing up, I was always around something a bit woo, which was interesting and fun. Did get me bullied a bit, but now that I'm a grown up, I can do what I want. So here I am. But, honestly, like there's a number of different ways that you can sort of like look inward and sort of figure out what makes you feel like less bored. I mean, are you spiritually bored? Then if so, just go sort of asking yourself in different ways, like, okay, how do I feel? Am I excited? Is this cool? Like, is it not cool? Am I interested? Do I want to learn more? Do I not? Narrow it down that way. All right, we're going to do advice. So the Queen of Pentacles. So I would say, um, so Pentacles are, it depends on the deck, but Pentacles coins, they're related to Earth energy, which is anything that has to do with your material existence. So, like your life on Earth here as a spiritual being, in your physical body is mostly Earth energy. Um, so the Queen again is, we have another royal. This could be someone in your orbit or yourself. This is someone who has mastery over, like what they see, what they define as bringing them value. So it could be in work, it could be physically, it could be your health, it could be um, your family, home material things. So, and again, I'll say queen, but it doesn't, it's, the energies aren't binary. So it's not, if I'm referring to a Queen of Pentacles, it's not necessarily a female. It could be, it could be male or female in the queen energy. Think of it as like life lesson levels. So a queen is definitely, like in control, has a definite idea of what brings them joy and what they value, what they define as being of value to them. They know how to use the law of abundance and attract the things that they want to them. They're very stable, kind, very provide incredible psychological safety for those around them, very family oriented, and really know how to make people feel at home. So if this is someone in your orbit, or if this is what you become, or if this is the goal for you, getting this card as an outcome is definitely a sign that you will achieve it and you're headed in the right direction. Okay. All right. So, um, overall, it's overall, like, last message for this one is the Four of Pentacles. So this is, protect your energy, protect your resources. So this is, take a beat, really look around and see what's of value to you. Um, and don't run into anything. Again, it's almost like temper your energy. Don't look for the immediate gratification. This is my like saver card. Like, it's, some people say it's like the miser card, like somebody who's like a Scrooge, like very careful with their money, like almost like, or if you like SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, he's a money, 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 is always just after money and like looking for ways to save it, not spend it, get things for free. But for me, especially like as the last card in the reading, with all the cards that precede it, it's, it's just a nod to, taking a beat, like defining what you value, defining, where you want to go, how you see success, um, and start planning for the long term, energetically. And then, always keeping that in mind, staying very intentional. You know, all your, everything that you do, especially when you're young, is a decision. Like we have, I mean, I know, like, at least where I'm from, and I grew up when there wasn't a lot of technology to keep us from getting super bored. But some people just sort of throw away their early 20s by just by not making decisions, by not being thoughtful or strategic or intentional, just sort of seeing where the wind blows them. But at the same time, it's like, add alcohol or anything else that sort of make things feel faster and fun, but they can lead to a lot of bad decisions. And then, and it's sort of like, it sets you back, with the longer life plan, because you can make the wrong decisions, or by not staying intentional and aware of your actions, and then things get busted up. So yeah, stay intentional. Your life is your own. Your energy is your own. You can make decisions, set your boundaries, and form your goals. And know that, now that you're at a turning point, you can take control of your intention and your plan, uh, for, your life. But don't forget that leaning on the Queen of Pentacles in your world, you learn like all the life lessons you learn, everything that you've been taught up to a certain point, good or bad, like has formed you, into the person you are right in this moment. So, good or bad, take from what you know. Um, like I said, decipher what you feel is, you carry it forward or you get rid of it. And then say, okay, what brings me joy? So take everything that's on that list in the joy column, and you make sure to look for every opportunity to incorporate that in your future. And then live in that energy of, this is what I want, this is how I want to feel, and watch it develop. So, all right, that's a pretty good reading. I hope someone out there benefits from it. You can. I always tell those who are already part of the channel that, if you don't catch a live, you can always come back and watch them later. And then if you do want to put a question in the comment section of any recorded video, it will get to me. I'm also, like I said, on Facebook and Instagram, and you can contact me through them as well, through the messengers. Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna, this is a little trick to clear your deck. I also have a crystal called selenite, and this is a crystal. So I help out in a crystal shop, like I said, locally in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. It's called Let's Get Wire. They have, every crystal you could ever think of having. But the premise behind crystals is that each of these stones have their own energetic signal, and then combined with your own aura or your soul's energy, you can amplify, protect, and change the way that you project your energy. So again, it's a big idea. But you can like, I would just say, this time you have a crystal involved, the intention of your energy, whatever that might be, amplifies and protects. So I need to learn more about crystal grids, because I have the basics down as far as, like what crystal to use when you want to create a certain feeling. You need protection, you want focus, you want to attract wealth, you want to attract health, a lot of different things. So I do have a number of this. I have a selenite ball. Selenite's my favorite just because it's an energy cleanser. It also, like, when combined with other stones, like if any energy is sort of pulled into a stone and needs to get cleared, this will help that do it. Same thing with smoky quartz. But I love selenite, and so that's why I use it to sort of clear the energy in between readings when I'm using a deck of cards. So if I were in the shop and doing 20-minute readings for people, different people have different messages that need to come through. But if my energy, if I'm not intentional about resetting my energy and the energy that's might be lingering in the cards, then the same message might come back over and over. So that happened more when I was, like a novice reader. But in my mind, I'm very intentional about starting, like clearing my mind, talking to I can talk to your spirit squad. That's what I call them, and say, okay, let's start fresh. And then sometimes if I'll get the nudge to even use a completely different deck of cards. I'm not, I don't have that nudge now, but I will, just because I think it'd be interesting to see some different imagery. But yeah. So I'm going to use an oracle deck. It's called Sacred Destiny by Denise Lynn. I really like this deck. But it's mostly just pictures of, like, flora and nature scenes. It's very beautiful. Has like reminds me of, if any of you are as old as I am, grew up like in the 80s seeing those motivational posters where they just have one word underneath them. Sort of reminds me of that. But I get so much from these even though they just have one word. So abundance. So let's take a look at this card. So remember I was talking earlier about what does abundance mean to you? Is it like, is it love? Is it health? Is it money? Is it um, you know, psychological safety? Is it stability? What is abundance? You know, can mean so many different things. So this is a beautiful, what looks like, I'm not sure when these flowers bloom, but my gut instinct is saying like a beautiful spring day, almost summer. Um, it's very lush. It looks like almost, like a wild uh, prairie. Prairie. So, and then you'll see up at the top, it's almost like a dusting of gold. So, you know, I would say for me, this is again a continuation of like of the of the thought that you can create your own heaven, um, as long as you can visualize it. So if you're like intent to visualize, what brings you joy, what you consider to be like your happy place, this is heaven to me. I feel so calm and peaceful and happy, and I'm stimulated by the beauty of this place. It's making me feel content and warm and safe. That's the definition of abundance. So for those who are struggling with not feeling like that, you know, just know that this is a nod, or a reminder that you can create your own version of heaven. You just have to be willing to kind of do the inventory of your own mind, life, and experiences, good and bad, and then say again, like do that joy column. What's in my joy column, and how do I incorporate more of that? And then if it's something that that's very interesting to you, but you might not have any experience with it or know anybody who you know you could talk to about it. um, you know we're so lucky to live in a time where literally everything is at our fingertips with the internet. I love YouTube. There's Facebook groups for anything you could ever think of. Um, you know, if it's for your highest and best good, and you're doing something, with the intent of love and light, well, guess what? You can definitely find an online community, if not a local community, that will help you, um, you know, increase the abundance of joy in your world. Let me do another one. Okay, look at this. Oops, I have to get my angles correct. Bear with me. I'm getting there. Aha. Okay, so this is I won't cover the word. It says success. Look at that card. Isn't it cool? Again, doesn't it look like kind of like a different angle on that same um like almost it's like the same type of vantage point, overlooking what now looks like more of a tropical, lush jungle. You have like a tropical bird and a black panther. There's a volcano in the back. Look at the sky. It's almost evening. It looks like it might be like you have some winds there with a tree kind of blowing around at the higher point in the back. So, for me, this is saying, look at the roads you've traveled, look at the obstacles you've been up against. You've seen some very beautiful things. You've been in face to face with some very, like, what might feel dangerous. Um, but now you're sort of just sitting amongst them, just doing what you do well, and everybody's just kind of calm and cool with each other. So, success is definitely not an easy path for most. So, this card just says, you don't have to, um, like pretend you've never suffered or struggled to get somewhere. A lot of the times, the best success stories come from people who have lost absolutely everything and then rebuilt because they, had to learn the hard way. And a lot of us do have to learn the hard way before we actually figure it out. And there's no shame in that. Okay, I don't have any questions. I think I'm going to do one more card and then I'm going to log off for a little bit. I will try to come on here and there throughout the week. Just do this for at least an hour. An hour if there's enough people online who want me to pull a card for them. If not, I'll just keep it to half an hour, less than an hour. And then people can watch it back. And then if there's any questions, when I come on again, I'll address them in the next live. If I can figure out my tech setup, I'll also start putting some recordings together. I like to do them for the suits. So instead of like Aries, Leo, Virgo, all the different astrology signs, I might just do a general reading, or I'll call out the different astrology signs that I see represented in a tarot reading, and then maybe I'll put them in the description of the video that I post. Okay, look how beautiful this is. Purity. So you see the wolf, it's got two different color eyes. It's white as snow. It's definitely a winter setting. For me, that looks like, New England or even Canada, like northern Alaska, just like a northern area. Um, you know, again, we have the wolf that, um, all the dogs that we have, like, are a domesticated version of this, like, beautiful, like, wild animal. But, you know, I think like the differential in color of their eyes is to say, like, you know, don't put expectations on something that you don't judge a book by its cover, basically. Because, like, you might expect them to have the same color eyes, but look, they don't. So you might expect it to be, um, things to be a certain way, and it's not easy, and it's not friendly, and it's not domesticated. A lot of people that you meet, this is again pulling into the, like, say you're, in a new environment, a new job, a new living space, you're going to college for the first time, you're in a new school, you're in a new grade. Again, if you're an adult, it could be a number of different situations that you might find yourself in. But, going post COVID, like, a lot of us are going back into the office, right? So, like, it's a reminder that, you know, assume good intentions, right? But understand that, not everything is is as obvious as it might seem at first. So, just be an observer. Sit back, sort of like stay calm, keep things balanced as far as your energy. Be kind, be good, do a good job, have good intentions, but at the same time, don't make assumptions, or don't have big expectations, and that you'll that you'll that you'll push out on others in your orbit, or like in this a new environment. Like, if you have an expectation of the environment and it doesn't meet that, like, don't put it on the people around you, or the people who've hired you, or the whoever. Don't look to find someone to blame for your expectations not being met. um, Take a beat, really think about, okay, what were my expectations? What's falling short? Like, what do I need in order to feel, again, psychologically safe? Is this, the shock of change? Not all of us have coping mechanisms to deal with change, especially post COVID, because, a lot of us were working remotely, and all the rules, like, if people have been in the workforce for 20 something years, then COVID hit, now we're going back, we have a little bit more experience knowing how to navigate an in-person environment for work. Whereas if you graduated school and entered the workforce during COVID, worked remotely for 5 years, and now, or less, and now you have to go into an office, I mean, this might be jolting. You might not know how to interact with other people, especially, you know, all different ages of people, all different kinds of people, people from all over the world. You know, the diversity of an in-person experience might be jolting. So before you just shut down, remember, um, you know, assume good intentions, and like, and remind yourself to have good intentions. So just, you know, do a list of like, what are your expectations? What do you feel like you need to feel psychologically safe? Like, where do you need to grow in order to better understand how to communicate what your needs are? Who can you go for mentorship? Who's who's you know, somebody that could give advice, like if you're struggling with something, um, but you do want to learn how to collaborate or meet in the middle, to eventually become comfortable, more comfortable. Like that's you know, you're going to want to do that. So like, first figure out your own mind, where you need comfort, or how you need to feel safe, or what you think you what your expectation was, and how it falls short. And then, you know, in a calm and professional, or, you know, a calm way, depending on the situation, you know, communicate that to someone that you think you can trust on how to help you get to that next step. And then, you know, and like I said, you know, just be an observer in every situation, and like take data on like what's happening and how you feel, and like what brings you joy. So again, back to the joy thing, but you know, it does take a lot of work. So we all start innocent, and there's good and bad things that happen to us throughout our lives, but then you get to a point where, you know, maybe something new comes up and you have to look at it like from with fresh eyes. But remember, not all situations are like you'd watch on Hallmark or whatever, you know, like if you had Netflix or whatever you watch, and like how things are painted. You might read books, like, not everything is, you know, can be romanticized. Sometimes it's like, okay, what's the romantic version of my expectations in this scenario, and like what's real life, and then how do I sort of find a happy middle ground? So, all right. Best wishes to everyone who is watching this. I appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me on my impromptu tarot live. Like I said, I hope to be on here more often. And if you do have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the comments of any of the recordings on my YouTube channel, and I'll do my best to address them in our next live. Or if I'm able to do a recording, I'll label the title as such. Okay, take care and have a great holiday weekend.